And last but not least, how do we set up powerfully and effective an invitation to do policy reviews? This was actually one of the slides which I shared during the webinar itself. And as you can see, there were a total of 10 ways, and I emphasize it was not meant to be exhaustive. Meaning to say, all these 10 ways are just ways for you to show care to your customers, right? And to show care, I find it silly that sometimes, we have to work on a list, right? Because showing care should be an innate way of expressing our love, our concern for the people who support us, right? Isn't it? But nonetheless, with this 10 list, I've seen so many expressions of it. So for example, you've done your calls, your video calls, you've done your care packages, and I've seen so many consultants using care packages, sending out sanitizers, masks. I've seen people writing handwritten cards. Number 7 is something that's really popular, at least in Singapore, and even Malaysia. Malaysia and Yvonne in Malaysia, she's been sending out flowers, gifts to her clients. In Singapore, a lot of consultants are using like GrabFood, and I'm so heartened. It doesn't have to come from me, right? This is a very common idea. But for us to share love, concern for our clients, I think that's a very, very strong premise that we can get started. I even want to point off to lesson number 10. There was one consultant that she shared with me a Instagram message, I think about 11 plus p.m., 12 a.m., pretty late one night. And she said, hey, I started to send my clients business updates. And she was so surprised because of one business update that she sent, she secured 5 Zoom appointments in the following week, because I think maybe people are really, really concerned. So to sort of sum up session number 1, warming up is really about being human. You should never try to sell on the first instance. You should always try to let people know that I'm here for you and I still care for you, right? On the second instant, what we're going to talk about is being respectful, giving the space for them to decide, hey, is it the right time for me to talk about my finances, my financial review, notwithstanding the fact that it is important, right? So giving people a choice, being permission-based, as what you remember, are all important segments of that. And last but not least, being a giving person. So in this call of 40 minutes to 45 minutes, it's all about giving, giving, and giving. And I want to sort of bring your attention to the second part of my webinar, where I've invited a guest that she's coming on. Her name is Joyce, and she's from Singapore. She is the go-to person on e-appointments, right? So she has a certain structure, certain philosophy, certain method even. But one thing for sure is that she's a very, very, very giving person, right? The second session, which was last week, we talked a bit about what was hot topic of town, which is social media. And I started out maybe with a heavy tone to say, hey, going back to the basics matters, right? Because in such cases, I don't want to confuse you. I don't want you to go to YouTube, post up like tens, dozens of videos, and then try to figure out YouTube algorithm. I think being back to the basics is so important, especially in times of crisis. Being back to basics means that you're caring. Being back to basics means that you're doing your consulting work well, and that when does well allows you to then amplify all the work that you do. And we talk about the 3 E's and 3 C's, right? The first E that I want to mention very briefly is about entertainment content. We talk about entertainment content and the importance of it. Why? On social media, think of it this way: you are either a consumer or you are a creator. You're either a consumer or creator, right? Consume means you turn off your Instagram, your Facebook, or TikTok. You're looking at content that's consuming, right? On top of, and opposite of that, creating means you're sort of like pushing out new content. Instead of watching people's videos, you're creating new videos. Instead of looking at people's photos, you're posting your own photos. And if you do that, that showcases your personality, your character. What kind of person you are? Are you birds, flowers, cooking, yoga, whatsoever? The second part, we talk about education, right? If we want people to see us as a value provider, we first then need to demonstrate value, right? If we want people to see us as a value provider, we then first need to demonstrate value. And that's all about education, showcasing our expertise. Our expertise can be our professional expertise or even our personal expertise. How we bring up children, how do we prevent kids from falling down since they're all cooped up at home, so on and so forth. And last but not least, if you recall the last E and the last C, is that when we engage our clients with stories, especially with narratives that shows us as a choice advisor to our current clients, for example, in the form of after a good Zoom call, you take more photos, you record a video possibly, and you put this out on your social media. When more people see that, other people are choosing you as their advisor, that creates an impression. And I talked about how perception creates reality. right? Perception creates reality. And that was the case for Candice, wasn't it, right? So she started out and she was saying, hey, how do I get and convince people that I am a choice advisor for people to seek a secondary opinion? And she started out with her first client. She started posting stories, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And over a year, um, of consistent hard work, she secured over 50% of passive referrals. And that's because consistency of her posting the same stories, demonstrating that people have chosen her, hence as a choice advisor, creates a certain perception. And perception is, I see you as a choice advisor. I see you as, the one to approach whenever I need a secondary opinion. And that becomes a reality. Reality is when people take a step. Right. So I want to say, how does this link into today's topic then? Right. We talk about entertainment and I say, hey, instead of just having fun alone, why don't we have fun with our clients? Right. And this was an exact example. I was live with Astacia, and Astacia is from Team PME in Prudential, Malaysia. She was hosting a live session. And when I watched that session, I was just so happy, right? Because and that was exact representation of what can be possible. A lot of times people say that we are staying at home, we are trapped at home. But people don't see that what can we express out from this home. And what Astacia did yesterday when it was about 9 p.m. was that she sung Mandarin pop songs live. She entertained the folks. She just said, if you like this song, please give me a thumbs up. Can you imagine that how difficult it is to get a live stage? Easily yesterday was about 60 to 70 people. Imagine pre-crisis, we have to book event venues, speakers, nice projection halls and whatsoever. She did that in the comfort bedroom or her living room at 9 p.m. Can you not see the opportunities that's coming by? And I'm not asking you, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to sing, can't sing. Like for me, I can't sing, right? But do you not realize that now, even in my living room, I am projecting to thousands of you tuning in live on your respective countries. And if you don't see these possibilities, you can never convince your customers to see these possibilities and come online with you, right? The second thing, which is also tied into today's session, which is about webinars, right? So we talk about entertainment content. So entertainment type of experience. Today's webinar is about education. So how do we have a group learning, social experiences that is online? But before I go into that, I want to share a video. And this video is a very cute one that I really want to emphasize because it's from an old friend and a dear friend. Her name is Janelle. She's from NHN, which if I recall, New Heart Network. And her mom is Madam Ng Hui Na. She got her family together to create a TikTok video. So while our team set up the video, our team, can we please load the video? I want you to sort of like see what are the different possibilities that are rising. And this is the video. All right, so I'm going to get back the screen access, right? So the whole point I'm trying to say is that you don't have to do it alone. You can find your agency members. You don't have to do it alone. You can find your family. You don't even have to do it alone. You should find your clients. And one of the things I've been espousing all the time is that in such times, don't just use technology for the good of your internal development. What do I mean by internal development? Meaning trainings are great, team meetings are great, agency meetings are great, so on and so forth. But don't just do that, right? How do we extend technology and the benefits of it and let people see that, hey, in so far that we are being at home, we're still having fun. We're still having life. And we are still having, a ball of a time. And I want to sort of like continue from here. For those of you who have not met me, and of course seeing me hopefully for the first time, I hope you're not disappointed. I am one of the appointed speakers and coaches by Prudential to teach and train agency leaders on how to use social media to recruit millennials. So that's the really one-page spiel about me. But I always feel that, I'm not the most important person. I honestly think that, right? Who is the most important people? Are this series of people. And I take a lot of effort not to show off, but to showcase. Right? Not to show off, but to showcase. This student of mine from Malaysia, and I'd like you to take a look at what he did. After the second session, after listening to Candice and I, he started his first IGTV video on Malaysia's COVID-19 economic stimulus package, right? And he secured 2 Zoom calls, 2 new clients, and had positive feedback from her friends. And I want you to think for a moment, right? A lot of us have this choice. We could be spending our time at home watching Netflix, and don't get me wrong, I watch a lot of Netflix as well. But if you're watching Netflix all the time, at the expense of not trying out new platforms, new applications, picking up new skills, I think that's a terrible, terrible loss. And this person, just to let you know, he was a lawyer turned financial advisor. So he already is eloquent. Now imagine after this whole entire COVID-19 crisis, he probably has done 5, 10, 15 videos. Can you imagine the kind of skill level, the kind of development, and the kind of competencies he would have, right? And this again are some casual statistics. We've seen sales in the realm of 23, 26 sales in a week, and these are from 2 agencies in Malaysia, right? Uh, Over to the Philippines, right? My team did cyber coffee and cheers, and this is my time to drink a bit of water. Right, I want to say that cyber coffee, cheers, cyber wine is great. Have more cyber coffee and wine with your clients as well. Nonetheless, this student is amazing. She secured 3 remote sales orders just through voice call, and she hasn't even yet touched 2 video calls, right? So I want you to know that if you're sitting there and you're wondering, can this be done? That's the purpose of me sharing, right? I mean, all this are your peers, not my student, not my family members, not people within my company. They are Prudential life insurance advisors. In Indonesia, this student of mine managed to just do the simple greeting from session number 1, secured 4 policies this week, right? This is a student of mine, and his agent managed to just apply that using the opening structure, and he secured 6 cases in total, right? 2 upgrades, 4 new business. In Singapore, where I come from, Singaporeans, we tend to always watch as the world go by, but sometimes, Singaporeans can really give us and everyone a run for money, right? So this student of mine from Singapore, she shared with us that how she managed to secure 5 Zoom appointments next week from the time of her sending me this message. And of course, she's very thankful to not just me, but for Prudential for engaging everyone to do and guide us through this transition. And I want to say that, this series, as I've said it over and over again, as far as I know, I don't know any other life insurance companies getting into action so fast to commit and to help you go through this period. So I really, really want you to have a sense of gratitude to your local learning heads, to your agency leaders, or even to your local management, right? This is a very special slide, right? If you've seen all the countries I've been showing, this is a new flag, right? This flag is the flag of Vietnam. And yesterday, in fact, this message has been on my post, but I missed it. I just want to say that this lady, she works as a corporate person in a technology company, and she joined Prudential just for 20 days. She joined the first 2 sessions of a webinar, and she realized that by just applying the warming up step with her friends, she already has 1 policy close. And this lesson, I want to dedicate this to our new agents. A lot of us, especially in Singapore, are new agents whom you believe that it is not possible to do online work with new, for example, if you're new, your first year agent is difficult. I want to say that first year agent, you still have your warm contact base, isn't it? So this student of mine, managed to do that. So if you're still skeptical, I really don't know what to share to you, right? So I just want to wrap this section up to say that if you have more actions you have taken and results, we are shooting a video next week, and I just really want to make sure that this is of value to you. We have a mailing list that's building up. If you have results and actions taken from this webinar, send us a message. It's either a direct or private message, and I'll make sure that I get this details to you right away. So today we're going to talk on webinars, and I'm pretty much still on time. When I talk about webinars, most people are fearful, right? It's almost like if you can hear this bell, right? It's like an alarm bell that sort of strikes them. They don't know what are webinars, right? So I want to say that webinars, the first conception of a lot of people would be that they think webinars are just high-tech creatures or high-tech devices, right? My style of training is I want to make things simple, right? I don't like the complex. I go to the basics. Why? Because for me, I spent 12 years studying digital marketing, social media. Why? Because that was how I built my own training business. And I don't know how many of you can and want to study digital media, digital selling, social media the same way I do, because it involves reading a lot of books, spending a lot of money, and going through a lot of online webinars like we're doing now just to learn, right? So I just want to put it really simple, that webinars are nothing much and nothing more than seminars that are being conducted on the web, right? So you can just take this as a very simple definition. I would even want to talk about softwares. I wouldn't even want to talk to you about autoresponders. I wouldn't even want to talk to you about payment gateways, because those things